Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and I am very excited to be here with Stephen McKinley Henderson, star of Between Riverside and Crazy, which played Broadway this season. And Stephen, this play actually you have quite a history with it because you first performed it back in 2014, I believe, at the Atlantic, and then again second stage, and now this season you've brought it to Broadway. I'm curious, out of all those times, in different settings, what's the biggest change that you had to deal with in the play between off Broadway and on?
I can tell you that relatively quickly. The change was COVID. I mean, to have done it, without the threat of testing positive hanging over your head twice, and then to come back this season, which was a wonderful season to be on Broadway. Let me say that. I mean, some fabulous shows, but it's really wild, and I appreciate that there's so many wonderful actors in New York that you really got to do playground ball because you come in one day and you say, well, maybe there's somebody else going to be on the other side of that table today, and we're going to rock it. We're going to make it work. And they were all just wonderful. All the understudies and standbys and replacements that came in. So that was a kick. And it was great to start the show with so many of the same actors. And we had, the same cast, and we got the wonderful addition of Rashid, who came in, Common, and so that was a kick. And then, as I say, we have probably more actors who had done their first Broadway show in our production because as they came in, to do a day or 5 days, as the case may be, when someone tested positive. That was different. And what I'm most proud of, however, is that myself and Liz Canavan, who the oldest members of the cast, we never tested positive. We were ready, baby. So I really kind of up about that too.
That's great. With all those Broadway debuts, did you feel people looking to you, as a stage veteran?
Actually, sometimes they were so nervous. No, but yeah, no, it was wonderful for them to feel like they were in good hands, that they were trusting, and I think I did get a few of them to relax after a while. But it's just you know, it's a daunting experience, but it was because I had had the previous productions also
Mhm.
under my belt. I did kind of feel like, well, I'm here for you guys. You lean in. We're gonna get this. And we did.
Yeah. Well, one of those, when you went to Broadway, you had a new actor, Common, who was playing your son in the piece, and that's a really central, important relationship to the story. So, were there any kind of new discoveries about your character and the relationship there once Common joined the cast?
Well, yes, quite yes, indeed. And some of it was simply, the time that I had been with the role, and but it became clear to me with this iteration that the father felt more of the weight of his son being growing up under under the problems that he had to contend with, and we were both in mourning for the loss of his mother and my wife. And but I realized that for an African American young African American child growing up with a policeman father, that there were things he had to contend with in the street uh, about that, and so I was aware of it, and then the fact that he had taken on the task of being a mentor for some of his contemporaries. Uh, and I had an appreciation for that. So there were some nuances. You see, these are things that were always in the play, but I was more focused on being in mourning for my wife before, and that was a source of anger and remorse. But this time I was quite a bit more involved with trying to make amends with what my son might have been going through. So, and the fact that the humanity that that Rashid, because that's, we call him by his name. He's competent
Hmm.
as a musical artist, but he's such a wonderful person, such a wonderful human being. It did elicit an empathy, and the other actors that played it, we all had our special relationship as well. But this did bring out some compassion in the confession scene, I like to call it, but that he and I had together. So it was really a joy,
Mm.
really a joy to work with.
I think, excuse me, for me, one of the really heartbreaking things that stands out to me is kind of Pops really gets to a place in his life where he thinks he should have much more respect than he does. There's a lot of people in that house that take advantage of his kindness, take advantage of him quite a bit. What do you think that does to him living in that kind of space?
Well, Pops is oblivious to some things because he's hitting the bottle pretty hard.
Hmm.
He's self-medicating in a couple of ways, but he's also I. There's something about the absence of the wife and the fact that he doesn't feel like he's being taken advantage of. He feels as if he may be able to help,
Hmm.
and now he may be deceiving himself, but sometimes you are helping people. You may not be helping them to the degree you think you are, and you can't solve everything. That's an ego problem of your own, thinking that you can fix everything. But there's part of the altruism that he was displaying, I think, is something that he thinks that he should do. He should do it for his son, and that if his wife were there, she would be able to do it better, but and probably get better results. But so I don't think that Pops is feeling every day that he's being taken advantage.
Mm, that's a good distinction. And I heard Stephen Adler just wrote this role specifically for you. He had you in mind, and you signed on quite, you got on board quite early with that. What does that mean for you as an actor to have a playwright write something for you?
Well, it's quite an honor. It's a wonderful reward for the years of being in the theater, and 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 to be such a wonderful play that he entrusted, and to have it also be an homage to his father, and to have it be about the apartment that Riverside apartment is an apartment that I have been in,
Wow.
and been welcomed in. And so yeah, no, it's quite moving actually to have that happen. But it also is it's a burden, it's a challenge because you want to come through with it. You gotta bring it, you know what I'm saying? And and we had a wonderful time each uh each each time. Uh it was a joy to be. And I was also surrounded by some of his friends as well, people he had worked with for years,
Mhm.
uh, Liza and Elizabeth. So that was a joy as well. And early on around Cephas. So it was a family kind of thing.
Yeah. He keeps people in, I think, rotation. There's a family of actors that often do his plays. You've worked with him before, of course, with Last Days of Judas Iscariot. Um, what
And new
comes out of
actors become family. Let me add
yes.
that. Because he starts with family, and then there's some new people. And after the end of that experience, there are new members in the family. So yeah, he definitely does that.
Yeah. What for you is the best part that comes out of that kind of, long-term working relationship?
Trust,
Mm.
you trust, and you can go wherever the track leads you. Just put coal in the engine, follow the track, and because there's some moments of real friction, real conflict, and real intimacy. And so you're working with people who you can be comfortable with through the intimacy and through the conflict. And so that's a great plus, the trust.
Mm. That to me kind of, brings to mind your very long-standing relationship with August Wilson, because I think you've done most of his plays. I think anyone who loves his words would be very familiar with your performances. What's sort of the biggest lessons you took away from your time with August? What do you carry with you the most?
Family again. What a great segue you went from how Stephen works with actors again. But August plays are like a family album for the children and the adults who don't have one. You can look at each decade and you can find where if you had the photographs in your house, you would see the costumes, you see family members wearing that period. If you saw parties, you would see a frozen picture of somebody dancing the dance that's danced in 7 guitars, or hearing the songs that are sung in piano lesson. But the lesson I take away from it is just how precious family is and heritage is, and which is what August would want. Just writers. Amiri always said, "Today is the history we must learn to desire," and so understanding also that we are our best hope, and it's in your hands to appreciate the moment you have now, and to work with it, do something with it, put your back into it and move forward. So yeah, there's so much, and each play has its own particular theme and topic. But what I take away from it the most is the precious nature of the current moment, the precious nature of the current moment, and today is the history we must learn to desire.
Very well put. I think, am I correct that the only two plays of his cycle you haven't done are Gem of the Ocean and Radio Golf?
Yeah, you got the facts right.
Is there any desire to step into those to have a complete set?
I gotta tell you, I'm so fortunate, man. I'm so blessed to have worked on 8 of the plays and to have worked with August in the room on 3 or 4 of them. So if it were to come to me, fine. But I had my fun. If I don't get well, no more. As the old blues song said, I had my fun. If I don't get well, no more, man. So I would do those plays if there was a director who saw me as a vision, of one of the characters. I'm not certain that there's always a role for, but directors, if they believe so, then hey man, I'd like to see you do it. Well, I'm in, you know what I'm saying? But I just feel, honestly, Sam, I'm just so fortunate and blessed to have worked with him and to have had him hand me pages, and say, hey man, try this, man. Let's see what this is. To have that happen, man, my cup runneth over. And so I'm glad for all the people who do all 10, because there are quite a few actors who have. But they didn't do them with August. I got to do it with the man. So you know what I'm saying?
You got to beat there. Yeah. Well, if I can switch gears for a little moment here, because I am an enormous science fiction fan, so it was really great to see you pop up in Denis Villeneuve's Dune.
Oh
Um,
man.
is that sort of, I think out of everything I've seen you, that seems like the biggest, most epic production you've been a part of. Is that safe to say?
Oh, yeah, I would have to say so. Yes, and you know, I mean, it's in two parts, and
Mhm.
that's a thrill to have worked on part two. You know, that's a kick.
Yeah. When I when I think of your stage work, when I see you on stage, there's a sense of immediacy there, I think, to your work, and especially because we're in the theater and the audience is right there. So when you translate that over to film and something as massive as Dune, how do you keep that same type of immediacy in your performance?
Well, you know, every time they say action, uh, that's what they need. So you're not doing it again. You're not trying to make that same thing happen. You're trying to do it as if for the first time, and that's what you're doing on the stage. And it's 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 uh it's a different rigor, but it's the same art form. You know, it's a different rigor, but the same art form. And always the other actors are such an important part of your work. Being able to look into the eyes of someone who is looking back into your eyes, and they're in the world of the play or the world of the film, the world of that scene, and they pull you into that world. And so when you're not feeling it, if they're feeling it, you can grab a hold of them and go. And when they're not feeling it, you can be there and be a rock for them. So and that was one of the things about Dune. I mean, it's just an incredible assortment of gifts called together, and not just as an actress, but cinematography. Every everybody called to work with Denis, and he's such a sweetheart of a guy, you know. And uh, so yeah, it was really kind of magical,
Mm.
really magical. And this last time to get to meet and work mainly with Stella and Austin Butler, who is a
Mhm.
just a wonderful person and a wonderful young man. And to see he and Tim and Timothy come together and tie it up. I'm telling you, man, get ready. It's that Dune 2 is gonna be something, man. I'm telling you, it's rocking. It's rocking. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to see Dune 2 and whatever else you serve us next, because it's always great to see you on stage or on film. So thank you, Stephen, for joining me today. Great job in Between Riverside and Crazy this season. For everyone watching, make sure you subscribe to Gold Derby. Keep with us throughout the rest of the season. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Sam.